Watch part one. It is key to understanding this part. Some of the groups that are concerned with cultural memory and cultural studies and their historiography and so on are the Institute of Germanic and Romance Studies. Think about that. Germanic and Romance Studies. Of course, they're interfering with your reproductive process. Can you end up finding who you're meant to be with if they've cut you off from destiny itself? They cut you off from nature, from your human nature, from the nature of love. I mean, it's stupid, right? Your cultural memory. They've cut you off from two major groups of people, regardless who you are. One is the people within your immediate culture. Two is people in African culture. This cultural studies is for the purpose of keeping Africans from gaining respect and reverence in their natural form. In their natural form. Not their boule, science, Masonic form, with all due respect. Not their celebrity form or their Western sport form. Not black people doing non-African martial arts or Brazilian arts that stole from Angola. But rather in their natural African, Igbo, okay, Egyptian, Nubian to some degree, form. That's the whole purpose of this. Cut you off from Africans first and foremost, because when you follow that train of thought to its finish, it takes you to Africa. Why stop within your culture in a multicultural society? Wouldn't that make you a fucking racist? If you say religion is based on what my people say and not where it starts, when it means to rejoin and reconnect, doesn't that make you a racist? Think about it. Why would it stop with your people? What is so special about them? Are you the master race, perhaps? Perhaps God chose you. If he did, why? You have no logical argument there. Not even the Jews have a logical argument there. Just because it's been accepted by the oppressor doesn't make it right. You become your own racist oppressor when you are the survivor. Mind you, not the martial artist who fought back. And you make the argument that your culture, your ethnic group has the truth. Spirit means spirit. Spar it. Prove it. You did not. To reject my spiritual direction makes you a racist. Period. I want to entertain any other argument. The limit the population argument. The high level of acceptance. Lead and lead. Brain development. Lead poisoning. Like Flint, Michigan, Chicago, and other places that are not yet recorded and perhaps never will be because of the nature of our society and the media. The media leverages things over both parties so the corporations can have their way. We will shed a light on this if you don't do what we want. Now that we shed a light on this, whether we bring in a solution that helps you do business, that helps you with your political agenda, depends on what you're going to do for us. And of course, a lot of these groups are directly controlled by corporations. So the lead poisoning affects their brain development. It reduces their IQ on record, right? Isn't it appalling to know that blacks live in areas that are more likely to include lead poisoning and things of this nature, chemicals that reduce their IQ. They have lower level foods and lower level housing. $5 for every black family has $5 for, the average black person has $5 compared to the average white person, 100, or maybe it's by families, but one way or another, you see my point. Okay? They're consuming things that are bad for their health that affect their IQ. Do not include that in your explanation as to why blacks have a lower average IQ, not to mention the cultural imperialistic nature of the IQ test that comes from eugenicists like Francis Galton on record. My goodness, I don't want to entertain the idea that IQ equals racial supremacy. And of course, the pictures on the screen prove that more than thoroughly. Okay? Psychology Today. Even this is what looks like a Jewish woman. Okay, this is probably a short, white-skinned Jewish woman saying, basically, I'm fucking right about everything. Read the article. What is she saying? She's saying that height alone doesn't mean that this person is a greater warrior, or that he was a greater hunter, or that he could protect his woman any more than the next man. It had to include physical prowess and intelligence. It's stupid. when people who don't even do martial arts, people who are like the furthest type of person from being a martial artist, are pointing out things that every martial artist should have pointed out a long time ago, because that has everything to do with the martial art order. Hell, martial means to order. Think about the disgrace. Think about the level of disgrace. Come on. How can this little Jewish psychologist pick up on that? But you're a martial artist who claims to be an expert and you do not? My goodness. Lead also messes up the attention span and causes antisocial behavior. Reduced educational attainment. Lead leads to anemia, hypertension, renal impairment, immunotoxicity. Toxicity to the reproductive organs as well. So toxicity, which has to do with psych meds and the chemicals, right? They're messing up your reproductive organ. Almost certainly has an epigenetic or a generational effect. Almost certainly messes up your genes, probably alters your genes. Okay? You're transforming based on them cutting off your cultural memory using chemicals, among other things, and psychology that's associated with media narratives and socially normative conceptions and beliefs, mainstream misconceptions, and they're cutting you off from your cultural memory. So you don't remember your culture, and you don't remember how your culture came to be. To say that your culture is superior is like a black person saying that his American culture is more spiritual than his African one. You come from Africa. That's where you should be looking. For the Native American to stop here makes him no better than the African American stopping here with his African American culture. You are an African first. Everything else came later. Did you stand up in America, in Europe, in the Middle East? You stood up in Africa. You are a descendant, not an ascendant. Anyway, it goes back to turn on somebody. Isn't that an interesting plain words? The non-African turned you on with his magic tricks because he has turned on you. He has turned on you. He has betrayed you. He has snaked you. You say, that's a cute little snake. Let me pick him up and sleep with him. And he has bitten you. Don't you see? If you don't turn to Africa to find God, you have turned on yourself and your fellow man. Awake. What is awake? Like a funeral. Awake. To be awake. Threats and treats. There's a connection. Let you think about that one. The Western Europeans were said to migrate to America, among other places, as a result of reduced resources and deforestation and other things were cited according to history books. And lo and behold, here comes the population control and eugenic agenda. We're wasting, 45 minutes away from here or so. You have Salinas, the salad bowl. They're throwing out all kinds of vegetables. It was like pretty much mainstream news. It's there. The information is out there in a way that no one can deny. They're dumping a countless amount of vegetables which are good for the human beings. Obviously, they're nutritious. They're nutritional value and content, right? They're wasting them. On a large scale, it's something like 40% of all vegetables or something like that are wasted. Look it up. How is there a resource scare? I mean, how are you talking about, we have to worry about resources, and you're wasting all these resources? How are you talking about population control and you're pushing, you're sexualizing women? You're selling them these clothes that make people want to reproduce more. Want to have sex more, and illegitimate kids that break down society. It is proven that when people have moral values and strong family structures, they limit their children, their size of their families by themselves. When you throw them off and you put it into their head that you're committing genocide on them, which you are, they want to breed more. And they're thrown off, and they have illegitimate children, and they're more at the mercy of the state because they don't have that strong family support, that strong network. I tell you, it hits, it hurts to the core of my heart, it hurts my raw, and I want to fight back. When they're striking me at my very core of my soul, the strength of the sun. My goodness, how am I supposed to feel about it? So what kind of people do they want once they created this mess? Right? They basically thrown everyone off. Now the state is your family. Now the state's saying, let's see. You're willing to play ball, right? You're moderate. Okay? You're quote unquote smart from, remember there's different types of intelligence I've gone over this time and time again. You're well assimilated, well adjusted, well adapted. You're disease free. Right? For good measure, let us give black people a bunch of diseases. Let us poison them and say, look, if you then take the argument that, hey, we might cure these diseases one day, that's no big deal. 1 in 6 Americans have genital herpes. 1 in 6 adult Americans have genital herpes, right? We might cure some of these diseases someday. It's no big deal, right? 80% of people have the kissing, the herpes of the lips, whatever it's called, the kissing disease, right? We might cure these things. It's no big deal. They say, well, we're going to lead poison you motherfuckers. Okay? How about having a deformed child? Is that no big deal? How about reduced IQ and developmental disorders, you motherfuckers? I tell you, that's what they do. You think they have cultural studies for no reason? You think sociologists just twiddle their thumbs? You think corporations aren't some cultural imperialist, racist, ninny motherfuckers? Yes, they do plan to mix us all together. It'll be one big happy family. But make no mistake, there will be the hierarchy according to who's mostly related to these one families, and they start off with one race. Okay, they start off seeing themselves as a race, right? Whites, Jews, Asians. These are the main guys doing it. Now, I'm not racist against them. I think that their cultural heritage is important. It's important for you to understand your culture, and from my point of view, so that you can understand Africa. It's important for you to have the truth. You think there's a bunch of ethnocentrists in anthropology and Egyptology? You think they don't do anything but just run their mouths? This is how I see it, right? They're trying to influence your perspective. And certainly they fabricate evidence. They get caught. Google it. Look it up. People have been caught fabricating artifacts and selling them for nothing else. If you think these media motherfuckers aren't in bed with people that fabricate evidence, who lie, who tell half-truths in science departments across the world, you're out of touch with reality. Science is politics first. It is cultural imperialism first. Look at military science. Who gets the cures and why? Social sciences, Nazi sciences, Zionist sciences, communist sciences. Science is politics first. The political abuse of science is rampant, and those who don't want to abuse it with them are screened out. Thank you.